Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. This is studio update number 6, and today we're going to be talking about some of the elements that make up the newest track called The Forgotten Places. This piece of music was intended initially as what I was thinking as kind of an early music, drone-based piece of music. So I was going to be using a lot of open strings on the violins and piano, and a repeating pattern in the piano. And back when I first started building this piece of music, I started out at the piano, and this was the original ostinato that I played had kind of it had a much darker tone to it than what I ultimately ended up with. So this was what I originally was working with. You hear how it feels kind of a little darker, kind of sad. And after listening back to it a few times, I decided that it wasn't quite the mood that I wanted. What I was really trying to create with this piece of music was this sense of traveling back in time to your earliest childhood memories. And so, and I thought a lot about what was I like as a kid and how did I see the world. And when I was very young, like 4, 5, 6 years old, which is kind of my earliest memories, I thought of the world as this very mysterious place, and but not in a scary way, just in this kind of very intriguing way. And so all it took to change that ostinato, that pattern, into something that was slightly more childlike and a little more innocent and a little more, I don't really want to say uplifting because that's not quite the right term, but certainly more uplifting than what we had before, was just simply to change that one note. So instead of that B flat, I changed it to a B natural. So it's still in D minor. But now, instead of being, actually it's not really in D minor anymore, it's actually in Dorian mode, which is an old church mode. The Dorian mode is the mode that you probably, if you know the song Scarborough Fair by Simon and Garfunkel, then you'll know what Dorian mode sounds like. And there's plenty of other songs as well, but I think Scarborough Fair is probably one of the most well-known songs in Dorian mode. So once I settled on Dorian mode and that piano figure, the next thing that struck me as a thing to add is something that I think is what ultimately makes this piece of music sound the way that it does. It gives it this very unique quality, and that was to add an analog synthesizer line that doesn't quite mirror the piano line, but it's very, very close, and it helps to kind of give the piece this nice little bounce to it. So once I had that rhythmic feel going with the piano and the synthesizer, the next step was to create an actual rhythm track for this piece of music. And dovetailing off of the idea of it being childhood memories, this idea occurred to me of what would it sound like if I actually used the sound of toys, like a toy box, different little bits and pieces from a toy box, as my instead of a drum machine, basically. So I started collecting sounds from little toys, and eventually built up this rhythmic line, which sounds like this. So you can hear it has this very, very playful, odd quality to it, which is exactly what I was looking for. It kind of sent this piece of music off then in this very, very unpredicted and odd direction. So, you know, what started out as this idea of it being kind of this drone early music kind of, you know, Gregorian, maybe Gregorian chant kind of thing, it evolved into this very subtly playful piece of music with toy box sounds and little wind-up toys. Combined with this piano and the sequencer. So here's just those three things together. I think we'll leave it at that for now, and we'll get back to this piece of music in the next studio update, and I'll show you a little bit more about how the piece built. But as you can see, I mean, even just from the very beginning, once I had this toy box rhythm track going with this piano and synthesizer sequence happening, it was already heading in very much the right direction. And so I'm looking forward to sharing the next step with you. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks.